Top of the open to you. We're here at Stoneway CrossFit. I've got Sarah, Coach Roro, Coach JoJo, Scott Rod, and Dr. K Rod. I'm Dr. Greg, and we're gonna cover movement prep for 17.4, which is a repeat of 16.4.
17.4 has 0 dumbbells. It's a repeat from 16.4, AMRAP 13 minutes. We have 55 deadlifts, 55 wall balls, 55 calorie row, and then 55 handstand push-ups.
So first things first, we want you to get warmed up a little bit. So spend a couple minutes on the rower, the assault bike, running, jumping rope, your favorite metabolic primer. And then we're gonna jump right into it. So what I want you to do is grab your pot of gold, get overhead with it, have that behind your back. We're gonna go in through some kettlebell good mornings. So this is gonna be a hip hinge movement priming exercise. What Joe's going through is making sure that the movement's coming out of hips as he sinks back, getting a little bit of activation in the glutes and hamstrings to engage that posterior chain. At the top of this, you want to be mindful that your ribs aren't flaring out, and then that kettlebell's not driving your back forward as you hinge into that, rounding the thoracic spine. You look good.
Oh, thank you.
Next, we're gonna talk about priming those shoulders to get overhead, which is gonna be required from both the wall balls as well as the handstand push-ups. So face the rack, grab a couple resistance bands. We're gonna have Joe approach the rack, get into a little bit of external rotation, and start slowly pressing overhead. Being cautious not to elevate and then over-engage through the upper traps, and not to really wrench into a ton of extra external rotation through there. And just spend a few minutes doing that, maybe 5 to 10 reps. Finally, to give you the good fighting chance, we're gonna get into a press and an overhead squat. And Joe's gonna walk you through this one.
All right, guys, so we're gonna have the same bands that we had for the last movement here. We're gonna go into a locked out overhead squat-ish position with our squat stance. We're gonna hold our shoulders in an externally rotated position, and we're gonna drop into our squat.
What we're priming for here is the wall balls, is obvious with the depth of the squat, but also some reactive stability overhead, which is gonna be required at full extension with those handstand push-ups. Be mindful at the top not to let those ribs flare out again. We wanna keep core nice and engaged to protect our low back throughout the workout.
All right, guys, so make sure you go through a couple rounds what Coach Joe just did, and here are a couple tips for 17.4.
All right, so there's a couple strategies that you could use for 17.4. The first and the one that most people are talking about is to break up everything and break it up early. So for example, on the deadlifts, you might want to break those up in like a 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or just a bunch of 5s. It depends on what kind of athlete you are specifically. And then you would break up the wall balls, you'd do the row obviously straight through, but then you would continue and break it up the handstand push-ups as many as you have to. But I have a different strategy. The strategy that I like and that I used last time that worked really well for me was doing large sets when you first attack the exercise. So maybe you do 20 or 30 deadlifts right in a row, and then you break them up from there. Or you do as many handstand push-ups as you can. For example, last time I did a huge chunk of handstand push-ups at the start, and it got me through them faster than when I broke them up. So if you're doing that strategy, you would do a whole bunch of the first movement.
108. 109.
So those are the two strategies you can go with. It's helpful to know what kind of athlete you are, and we've been training all year or for years to figure that out. So you should have a good idea of where or what will work better for you.
Hey, thanks for joining us over here at Stoneway CrossFit. Good luck with 17.4, have fun, and happy St. Patty's Day, everybody. Also, happy birthday, Dad. This one's for you.